Welcome to the Time Well Spent webinar. My name is Jessica Gunderson, the Policy Director at the Partnership for Children and Youth, and will be facilitating the webinar today. We really appreciate you joining us at your lunch hour. Our goal for today is that participants walk away with a better understanding of how school districts and their partners can deepen collaboration between the school day and expanded learning time programs. This includes real-world management and communication practices, tips on challenges that districts have overcome, and ideas for effective practice. The Partnership for Children and Youth is an intermediary organization based in Oakland, California. Our mission is to ensure each child has access to the learning, health, and school supports needed to succeed in school and life. We do this by supporting community school and expanded learning time partnerships through training, assessment, planning, policy, and advocacy. We focus on strengthening systems of collaboration, leadership, and continuous learning among school districts, government agencies, community-based organizations serving low-income children and youth. I'm going to go over quickly how the day is, or the next hour is broken up. First, we'll go over why this issue is so important and relevant now, outline what research the Partnership for Children and Youth conducted. Then I will outline our key findings, which emerged as 5 strategic elements. And then I will turn it over to our esteemed speakers from 3 districts which were featured in this report, including Oakland Unified School District, South Bay Union School District, and San Joaquin County Office of Education. And at the end, time permitting, we'll do question and answer for all the speakers. Now, before I get into content, I just want to go over the standard webinar housekeeping items. If you haven't already, please mute your telephones, either directly on your phone or by pressing *6. Please send any of the questions that you have via the Q&A box on the right-hand side. These questions work like private messages, and they'll come directly to us as the host, not publicly. If you want your question addressed to a specific speaker, please make note of this. In this same box, you can enter technical issues, which we will do our best to triage. This is a first of a series of webinars, and we want to get a sense of the audience so we can best tailor our message and make the most useful. There's a poll question on the right-hand side, which will stay up throughout the webinar, so please check a box when you get a chance. Lastly, there's no need to take furious notes on all the details. This presentation will be recorded and posted on our website. Speaking of terms, before I get going, I just want to flag that the partnership's work is grounded in the term expanded learning time as defined by the California Department of Education After School Division, which includes before, after school, and summer programs. You may hear that some of these terms are used interchangeably throughout the presentation. So why now? There are several education reforms underway, both in California and nationally, that we don't have time to get into today, but are important to call out in providing the larger context and need for the K-12 and expanded learning time systems to partner more effectively and intentionally. First, the move to the Common Core has brought a renewed and broader focus on learning and the types of skills that students need to develop to be successful in school and life. Research has shown that high-quality expanded learning programs positively impact social-emotional skill development, such as interpersonal skills and self-management. These are skills necessary for student success in a Common Core environment. Second, there is a growing body of research on the impact of how time outside of the traditional school day is spent and the impact of that time. As many of you are aware, kids spend more time outside of the classroom than in. The difference in learning time between lower and higher income young people is an essential strategy if we are serious about closing the achievement and opportunity gap. For example, research has shown that 2/3 of the achievement gap by 9th grade can be attributed to the difference in summer learning. When we think about this time, we know that in California, for students that regularly attend and participate in state and federally funded expanded learning time programs, they can gain up to 90 additional full days of learning. Yes, 90 days or more. Speaking of state-funded programs, for the first time in California, the state has adopted state quality standards for expanded learning time programs. Research shows that high-quality programs are particularly effective in supporting learning goals when schools and community partners work in true partnership. It will be important to consider how effective partnership is promoted in the rollout of these new standards. Lastly, building off local partnerships with the passage of the Local Control Funding Formula and the development of new district local control accountability plans, aka LCAPs, we are finding that many school districts are committing to expanded learning, and this report seeks to inform those efforts by identifying what school districts can do and invest in to maximize expanded learning in support of shared student outcomes, including both academic goals and student engagement. Given all this, we set out to answer the question, what strategies are districts using to coordinate the goals and operations of their school day and expanded learning programs? In particular, we wanted to see if we could identify strategic elements that would be helpful across the varied communities in California, from large urban communities and districts to very small districts in the state's more rural area. This district diversity is well reflected on our call today. Our project started with a comprehensive literature review and dozens of interviews with experts around the state. Early on in our research, we realized that most of the literature out there related to coordination and expanded learning time focused on the school site level opposed to a district or system level, which was the focus of our report. Based on recommendations from our experts, we did a deeper dive into 8 districts, ranging from 300 students to 36,000 students. This included conducting site visits and interviewing over 35 district and school administrators, program directors, and site coordinators. Following this, we distilled what we learned into 5 strategies that were consistent across all of the districts. I'll provide a quick overview of those elements and then turn it over to our panelists to fill in the how and what of creating systems that support school day and expanded learning time collaborations. Step 1. Build on existing assets as you create a broad-based learning system. From the districts we profiled, coherent systems take advantage of the unique partnerships and assets in any given community, which turns out can look different in each unique district, as you can see in this chart. This chart from our report illustrates how various school districts distributed key roles and responsibilities across key stakeholder groups, including community-based organizations, county offices of education and other intermediaries, as well as the local school district. These key roles and responsibilities were grouped into 5 buckets: hiring and staffing, program design and activities, professional development, funding stability, and grant management and reporting. That said, regardless of how the breakdown of operations enroll in any one district, all districts have a responsibility to play in supporting the coordination between and expanded learning time programs. It cannot just be left to the site leadership alone. Now I'll move through the 4 other strategies more quickly. An essential element was the demonstration of and the need for district leadership to set a vision that expanded learning is part of the district's core work in student learning. With that vision set, districts must invest in planning, communication, and management structures to maintain authentic and effective partnerships. Our panelists have a range of great ideas and models they will share. We know that it is at the school level where the partnership takes place to impact student learning. We found it was important for districts to have strategies that both promote and incentivize the critical role school-level leadership plays in creating and sustaining effective programming. Lastly, the district must support the system's capacity for continuous improvement through both professional learning and data. So now I'll move on to our panelists. A quick reminder, send your questions as they come to you, and we will have time at the end for each speaker to address. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Julia Fong Ma, the after-school coordinator for Oakland Unified School District. Julia, the mic is yours.
Hi, everyone. In Oakland Unified School District, we have ACES and 21st Century Community Learning Center grants to fund after-school programming at 75 of our school sites. And this past summer to fund 30 summer hubs. In Oakland, our motto of running after-school programs is running programs in close partnership with community-based organizations. So almost every one of our 75 school sites that have after-school grants partner with one of 16 community-based organizations in Oakland to operate the daily after-school program. In our school district, we have a central after-school programs office, which I coordinate. I have a dedicated team of 6 people, and our role is primarily to focus on managing the grant funds from the Department of Education, supporting the partnerships between the schools and community-based organizations, and really setting the direction for expanded learning in our school district, and supporting the partners in their role in fulfilling the district's goals and priorities around expanded learning. A key role that we play is bridging communication. So part of the time we are advocating on behalf of our community partners to district leadership, to principals, to district departments, so they understand what is going on in our after-school programs and what is the work that our partners are trying to do regarding youth development programming. And at the same time, we bridge communication from our school district back to our partners so that they are aware of what are the key goals and priorities of our school district. So for our next slide, which another key role that our after-school programs office is in charge of is really leveraging the funding to support the quality of our after-school programs. So we leverage funding by building partnerships internally with other district departments, as well as securing outside private grants and partnering with other community organizations, especially to support professional development of program staff hired by our after-school community partners. In the summertime, our school district leverages District Title I resources and combines it with 21st Century supplemental grant dollars in order to provide students with full-day summer academic and enrichment programming. Again, last summer we were able to do that at 30 of our school sites. Regarding leveraging partnerships, our community partners also play a key role in leveraging additional dollars to support our after-school programs. The City of Oakland Fund for Children and Youth is our primary source of match funds. They provide $4 million of match funds for our elementary and middle school programs every year, and it is our community partners who do the heavy lifting of writing those competitive grant applications and securing the grant funds on behalf of our schools' after-school programs. They also leverage other dollars, such as AmeriCorps dollars and private grant dollars. So together, our district, as well as our partners, are doing the hard work of sustaining our programs. Our after-school programs office is taking a lead in convening our partners monthly in monthly collaborative meetings where we communicate information to our partners about the direction that our district is headed. And these monthly collaborative meetings allow us to really help build our partners' capacity to engage in a cycle of quality improvement, which has been the focus of our monthly collaborative meetings this year as well as last school year. We give our partners guidance in terms of the youth development quality standards that guide our work here in the district, and we find out what their needs are during those collaborative meetings so that we can leverage other district resources to build up the quality of their programming. Our district also promotes extensive professional learning. We offer this year 10 after-school professional learning communities for program staff. Our learning communities focus on content from science and after school, to literacy and supporting English language learners, to trauma-informed pedagogy, to gardening, nutrition, math learning communities. So in our learning communities, we are able to support program staff in strengthening the curriculum of their after-school program around a particular content area, as well as to strengthen their facilitation strategies in effort to improve the quality of our after-school programs. Okay, and at the school site level, we have structures in place to support the alignment between expanded learning and the regular school day. Even though the after-school site coordinators are hired by our community partners, they have an office at our school site, at each school site. They're there full-time, and this allows for the after-school site coordinator to become an integral part of the regular school day. In fact, at a number of our sites, the after-school site coordinator is part of a school's attendance action team, sometimes part of the school's educational leadership team. They participate in COS team meetings, which means coordination of services team meetings, where they share their insights about what's happening in the lives of students and families, together with school faculty and other providers, so that they can coordinate services to meet the needs of the students. Another structure we have in place at the school site level is that all our after-school programs have a designated teacher who plays the role of a quality support coach. So it's a credentialed teacher during the school day who's hired through extended contract to be able to bridge after school with school day at the school site and really provide coaching support to after-school staff so they can improve their practice. Every year in the springtime, our office releases program planning tools to the school sites and supports sites in a structured planning process where the community partner, together with school leadership, sit down over the course of several meetings to collaboratively plan out the use of the after-school funds for the following year and develop the program plan. That planning process is instrumental to ensure the alignment between after-school and school day. And then finally, at the school site level, if there are issues regarding partnership troubleshooting that needs to occur, then our team here in our Central After School program.
I just want to remind folks to mute their phones. That's *6 or mute directly on your phones. There's a few folks we're hearing background noise from. Thank you so much. Sorry for interrupting.
I was saying, in the end, at the school site level, though most of our partnerships between the schools and community organizations have been long-standing. Sometimes there are partnership concerns that emerge, and at that point, a member of my team here from our Central After School Programs Office will go out and support, do conflict mediation if necessary, help facilitate conversations to support that partnership work at the school site level. Okay, so my last slide, I believe, here is about some of the challenges that we've encountered over the years in terms of the partnerships between our school sites and community partners and our alignment between school day and after school. So several years ago, we had to spend a lot of time focusing on convincing district leaders and school leaders that expanded learning is not childcare or babysitting, but that there is high-quality programming going on that directly supports student learning in out-of-school time. Now I think that message comes across very clearly to our district leadership and our school site leaders. So I feel like we're having to balance on the other end. Sometimes our after-school partners are being asked too much, and they're being stretched beyond the scope of their work on expanded learning because they are playing an integral role as part of the school community. So they're stretched in multiple directions. So now, as we advocate for the work of our after-school and summer partners, we want to make sure our district is clear what they have the capacity to do as youth development workers, and what they have the bandwidth to do, and what is beyond their scope. And we continually emphasize that our expanded learning programs complement and augment what's happening in the regular school day, but does not replicate and does not duplicate the learning that should be happening during the school day. As our school district goes through the transition with a new superintendent and cabinet members, and our work moving forward is continuing to learn about the goals and priorities under new leadership, to communicate that information to our partners, and to make sure there continues to be a clear understanding of the value of the work that's happening in our expanded learning programs. And over the years, as our expectations for our after-school agency partners are rising, we are currently working with our partners to have them reassess their capacity to fill the rising expectations and have them reassess whether they want to continue serving in the lead agency role. And we're excited that we'll be launching soon a request for qualifications process in which we're opening up the door for new partners who may have the capacity to serve our schools by providing high-quality expanded learning programs.
Great. Thank you so much, Julia. And I know that was a lot of information. So, again, as folks have questions, send them our way, and we'll do our best to get to them at the end. So I would now like to introduce Melissa Griffith, the Director of After-School Programs with South Bay Union School District. So, Melissa, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm in the South Bay Union School District down in San Diego, and we serve about 8,000 students, primarily in grades K through 6, and 78% of those students are low income. We do also have 2 charter schools within our makeup, and those campuses serve K through 8. Of all of our students, we have about 2,000 students that participate in our publicly funded before and after school programs at 11 schools. As I mentioned earlier, there's one of our schools that is the charter school, and it's a K-8 campus, but it's 2 sites, so therefore only 11 schools instead of 12 schools. Our summer programs this past year served about 500 students, and we usually couple those together, and we house that in 4 different school sites, and we typically do that every year with our supplemental funding. Our district office contracts with the Boys and Girls Club of South County, and they are directly responsible for hiring staff and operating the programs, but we as the district take the lead on developing the after-school curriculum and, assessing and addressing the staff's professional development needs in collaboration with our CBO. As the director for before and after school program in South Bay, I ensure that our program elements are within the compliance of our ACES grant, are of high quality and are balanced between academic and enrichment opportunities for students, and that all programming elements come directly from us, but we're doing that in collaboration with our CBO. They are responsible, as I mentioned earlier, only for the staffing piece, but again, we plan program together. So they do all of the hiring for all of our staff, but then the actual programming piece comes from the district office. Within our office here at the district level, we have 3 program assistants that support the attendance and the design of the program. We have 1 administrative secretary that provides direct support to me and also to our ACES budget. And in terms of just that vision for after-school programs and what that looks like, our board did some visioning work about 2 years ago and established our direction as a district, in terms of what our priorities would be and how that would impact expanded learning. And wanted to include a shift to a more academic focus in our after-school program, but we also continue to be committed as a district to building well-rounded children, giving them opportunities for arts, physical fitness, and other enrichment opportunities. And so as our after-school provider from our community-based organization of the Boys and Girls Club, they're able to bring that expertise of youth development to the table, which is a great benefit to our programs. In terms of creation or approval of the site-level partnership and how we sustain them, our curriculum development really is focused on things that are easy for our staff to be able to implement since they're not credentialed teachers, but also are complementing the instructional day. We want to make sure that all of our professional development is a collaborative approach between us as well as our CBO, and that the programming needs and, providing the funding and the stability of that is through our ACES grant. Ways that we've seen collaboration between the school day and expanded learning programs in our I also, in addition to my role as the director for before and after school program, also serve as a principal at a school site. So because of that, I'm really keen on knowing what our district priorities are and what that focus looks like since I'm a part of the district leadership team. And so therefore principals within our district are really, my colleagues. So therefore there's lots of opportunity for me to collaborate and inform them and educate them on the role of expanded learning programs and how they can benefit students and how they can utilize them at their school in order to bridge that gap of partnership. One example of that would be PBS. We implement that during our instructional day, which is a approach to behavior in a positive manner. That same approach is implemented into our before and after school program. So the expectations are the same in the instructional day as they are in the after school program. So kids and parents, as well as teachers and administrators, all know that the same things that are happening during the instructional day, there aren't new expectations in after school. We just do things a little bit differently in terms of how we're educating students during our program hours, but all expectations are the same. The other part of that is that we've been able to really look at a dual staffing approach. A few years back, we had to make some reductions in terms of our staffing, and with that dual staffing approach, it's really helped our district retain staff members because we've been looking at part-time classified positions such as instructional assistants, playground supervisors, library techs. There's a variety of classified positions that were reduced in hours that we're able to pick up additional hours through our programming for before and after school. So, of course, our classified union really supports that opportunity for part-time district employees to have an additional source of income, but in doing that through hiring from our Boys and Girls Club community-based organization. In terms of our principals, their expectations in how they work with after-school programs and the actual after-school staff that are at their school site, all of our principals know that before and after-school programs play a vital role in our district, and that is supported by our school board as well as our superintendent. So the expectation is that principals will provide access to their campuses during before and after school hours. Every year all principals provide me with the number of classrooms that I request. There aren't any issues in terms of space because that's an expectation that comes from our top leadership all the way through down to the site level. And in addition to that, we also are able to provide support to school sites in terms of the morning program and the arrival of students on campus. So our before and after school program staff members are able to provide that additional support to school sites. So there's really a trade-off of support that the school site need and also those needs that we have as after school programs in order to create a plan and a collaboration and a bridge between the two that ultimately supports student success. In terms of how do we make sure that there's constant improvement and, what processes do we have in place to evaluate our programs, we always make sure that we're doing that formally and informally throughout the school year. Some ways that we're able to do that to engage everyone in a cycle of quality improvement is through, after-school program quality self-assessment tools, and then we also are being a part of the San Diego Consortium is a benefit to our programs because we partner with Hoffman and Clark, who does a formal process in terms of survey on all stakeholders, our parents, our students, our school staff, and then we're able to get some feedback on what that looks like by site level, and I can request that data, which of course helps us make decisions on how to improve the quality of our programs. With all of this, yes, there's been challenges and barriers along the way. I think one challenge that we always face is that, our frontline staff are young adults, and oftentimes they're in a transitional period in their lives, so maybe their college class schedule changes or, they move to a different area. And so with that brings a continuous need for professional development for new staff. And so recently we implemented a new position of a trainer role, and so that person really is providing that bridge for all of those new staff members that are coming on board. So if and when we do have folks that leave, we already have them up to speed as soon as they're hired on what our goals are and how we're doing things here in South Bay. I think just like Julia mentioned, that attendance piece and understanding the grant compliance for all stakeholders, the babysitting versus really and truly how we can support and complement the instructional day was something that we had a challenge with at the very beginning when we made this shift based on our board's vision of what expanded learning programs would look like in South Bay.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa. I really appreciate that. So we're on to our last speaker, and we've gotten some great questions. I just want to remind the audience, feel free to send questions along as they come to you, and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. So with that, I'm going to introduce Nora Hanna, the after-school coordinator at the San Joaquin County Office of Education. Nora, it's all yours.
Good morning, everyone. I am the coordinator for the San Joaquin County Office of Education, and what we have is a consortium of 19 after-school sites that we write the grants for and oversee as far as fiscal requirements and any other requirements that is required for the Department of Education. My role is to serve all of these different sites, and each site kind of has a different way of running. Most of our sites are rural sites, so they are out in areas where there's a lot of need and lack of services, or they're smaller school districts that really they couldn't write the grant themselves, so they need some help and support in doing that. The two sites that we focused on this partnership was Banta Elementary School, and that is a one school, well, now it's two schools, but originally it's a one school district. They just opened a charter. That's why I'm saying that there are two schools now. And they serve about 300 students in their school, and 65% of those are low-income students. 80 students participate in our after-school program, and then 50 of them also participate in the summer program, which is an all-day program. It's 6 hours. Tracy Unified has 7 after-school programs, and they have about 17,000 students in their school district with about a 45% low income. And then 700 of those students participate in after-school programs, with 300 of them attending an all-day program. My job is to really support those sites. We collaborate a lot with different partnerships in the county that can come out and provide services for the sites, provide extra resources for sites. The way we have it is these sites all have their own way of running their programs, so each one has what they think will serve their sites the best. So, for instance, Banta and Tracy both have sites that are run by a community-based organization, and that is because that is the best way for them to tap into extra resources for their school district and be able to have extra activities for their students beyond what the school district can serve. So they decided that their grant, they will collaborate with a community-based organization to provide the services, such as the Banta one has an organization called Give Every Child a Chance, and Tracy is served by the Tracy Boys and Girls Club. And these collaborations, there's a MOU in place between that kind of bridges the after-school program with the school district and the county office and the services that will be provided. So there's in writing what the expectations are of each partner and what types of services they will provide and what kinds of oversight for the grant guidelines they will provide and what they will do. We kind of help facilitate all those partnerships and make the connections. So we reach out to all of the individuals, get them all on the same page, make sure that everyone understands what their role and responsibilities are. And we also help to give them opportunities and give them insight into what we feel may be beneficial for their site because of certain things that are going on in their community. One thing that I really try to do is make connections with every single principal and also with the superintendent. So if I see that a site that has an issue or if there's something that I think the program would be benefiting from, I connect directly with that principal and let them know what is going on and give them some support. For instance, we have principals that just came on board, have never had an after-school program before in their lives. They don't know what to expect. I go in and make appointments with these principals and sit and talk to them about what the guidelines are for the grant, what the expectations are, what kinds of resources I can give them, what kinds of resources they have in their community, and we start having this conversation about what you want your after-school program to look like. And it gives them that ability to take that initiative and really be a part of something that's high quality. Some of the things that have come up in our collaboration is that some school districts have a higher expectation of what their principals will have that will be beneficial, and some are not too sure. So we just kind of walk through those little things and make sure that everyone is on the same page and everyone's doing the same thing. For instance, one of our school sites, which is North in Tracy, has a principal that is really adamant about being a part of the program, making sure he has his teachers in the program that help with homework assistance. He helps his staff understand at the Boys and Girls Club understand what the teacher's role is and that he's open to anyone that has feedback for him for any issues. And the way he's structured it is the teachers trade off homework hour and will be there to help students. The students go directly to the teachers for homework hour and then go back to Boys and Girls Club after that to be able to do the rest of the programming. But he's directly the one that's responsible for making that come to life and actually being able to address some of the things that may come up with that. He also is really good about checking grades for students. He will take reports for all of the school after-school program and check grades so so that they can participate in some of the sports activities that the after-school program provides. So he's really at, the linkage kind of. Some of the things that have benefited the programs for being able to bridge some of this is we've been able to, at the community levels, look at, okay, what partnerships do you need? We've partnered with Public Health, UC Cooperative Extension, University of Pacific, Delta College, CSU Stanislaus, to bring in more resources for the sites and be able to give them the necessary extra activities that they wouldn't have otherwise. And we look at each community and see what kinds of things they are needing. So if there's something that they really want in that area, so they're focusing on health and nutrition, we'll work with our public health and see what kinds of different activities they can bring in to help the site to be able to benefit from it. And then collaboration, we really look at what the sites also have to offer. If there's something that they think that is beneficial, they'll call me frequently and say, I have this resource and I think it's great. What do you think? For instance, we have Ag in the Classroom is one of those things that they're looking at right now. One of the sites is using it and says, I think this would be good for everybody else to be able to benefit from. What do you think? And I call and make that connection for everybody else and see if they're willing to, wanting to have this in their sites as well. So we're all, talking the same language and able to kind of give each other feedback on what kinds of things we really want in the program. The other, there's always been challenges, as we've already discussed today. One of the biggest ones, I think, for us has been dedicated space. And a lot of times I'll get phone calls from staff that says, we really need some more space. There's, we're all cramped in the multi-purpose room. What can you do to help us? This is not a very good environment for the students to be in. What I do is I go out and I visit the site, see what I, observe. And then I also will meet with the principal and ask them to come with me and take a walk through their programs, and I'll point out certain things that really they don't see sometimes. Sometimes they're so busy, they're so inundated with different things that are going on through the day that some of these things get missed. And we'll walk through and say, okay, here's the issue. This site has 80 kids in the multi-purpose room for 3 hours. I don't know if this is going to work. And then they realize, okay, we've got to make some changes. And we've been really successful with making sure that if we partner together with the site administrators or the district administrators, we've been able to really understand why we need the things that the after-school programs need, and what's the best way to combat some of the issues that come up. We all evaluate programs twice a year, so I'll do an evaluation in the fall, and then I'll do another one in the spring. And what happens in the fall one is I'll have maybe a couple of things that I need them to focus on, and then in the spring when I come back, I'll look at, okay, what did we focus on, and how did we resolve some of these issues? What are our strengths, and what kinds of things do we need to look at? After every evaluation, I meet with the site administrators along with the after-school staff to make sure that we are all on the same page of what their strengths are and what their struggles are, and how to reach and change some of the different struggles that we have. A lot of my focus also in the evaluation is looking at the LIAS principles, so the 5 principles, and making sure those are being addressed in the learning and after school. So that's basically the gist of what we do.
Well, thank you so much, Nora. And I want to thank all the speakers for their examples, and especially across such a diverse set of districts. So now let's jump into some questions that we've been coming in. And again, feel free to continue to shoot questions. And for those folks on the call, if you could mute your phone, we have some background noise. So you just push the mute button or *6. We'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. So the first question is actually going to go to all the speakers. So hopefully you can provide a succinct answer in a minute or two. And so I'll start with Julia, and then we'll go to Melissa and Nora. But the question for all speakers is, how do you reconcile the pressure to have more academically rigorous programs and services with this idea that programs should look different and feel different after school? And I'll start with you, Julia.
Okay. Well, one is we constantly have to clarify that our after-school staff are not credentialed teachers themselves. So there's a skill set that they have, and a skill set that they do not have. So for us, our focus has been so strongly this year and last year really about strengthening the quality of the youth development programming happening in after school, and really utilizing we utilize the youth program quality assessment tool from the David P. Weichert Center to guide our quality improvement work and cycle of quality improvement. And what we do is that we show district leaders that when we look at the youth development quality standards and we look at the goals of the Common Core standards, social emotional learning initiatives in the school district, that's how we align and support what the school district is trying to do. Like, the stronger our youth development programming is, the more we are supporting the kind of teaching and instruction that our district wants to see moving forward for young people.
Great. Melissa?
And I think my answer is very similar to Julia's. In terms of making sure that people understand the abilities of our after-school staff is highly important. And knowing that we're able to support Common Core, we're aligned to Common Core by giving them opportunities to see it in action, that if we have a STEM focus for our summer program, then actually making sure that school leaders are out seeing what that looks like and after school, and how they're working collaboratively together. So yes, that is supporting the Common Core. However, that's going to look different, and it has to look different because they're not credentialed teachers, nor is that the intention of expanded learning programs, is just to replicate the instructional day. And I think really the important piece of that is ensuring that everyone understands, how you're observing and how you're making sure that your programs are of high quality. So really looking at those quality standards for expanded learning and the learning and after-school principles, and showing that learning in action has really served me well, and getting everyone on board with, yes, it is similar, but there is definitely some differences that should be expected when you're looking at after-school programming.
Great. Nora, did you have anything to add to in your work in San Joaquin County about reconciling those expectations?
What I do is I meet with all the curriculum directors for the county monthly, and something that I do is I present to them what after school is supposed to look like. And a lot of the time I have a lot of, again, but referring back to the LIS principles, the 5 principles in after schools, I refer a lot back to that so that they understand the variety of programming that we have to have, understanding what it means to be learning is active, learning is collaborative, all meaningful, expanding horizons. So I show that to them, and a lot of the times I'll meet with the principals and the different people at the school sites too, and explain to them how our after-school program, yes, it is supposed to be academically enriching for the students and make sure that we have a great learning opportunity for them, but it's not always going to look like the school day will look like.
Jessica, can I add one quick thing?
Yeah.
I forgot to say that we do have, like I mentioned earlier, we have after-school learning communities that are focused on specific content areas, such as our science learning community. So we are trying to build the capacity of our after-school program staff to be able to deliver academic content. But our learning communities, the curriculum is really grounded in youth development best practices. So it's science in an engaging way that matches our quality standards for youth development. Or literacy, and literacy in the after-school setting. What can it look like? So there's still skill building that's happening that directly supports what the school day is trying to do in terms of academics. But that learning community allows us to show program staff how it could look different, and they could still support that academic learning.
Great, and I want to clarify for the audience, because a few of our speakers have referred to this, which is great, which is the LIAS principles, and that's the Learning and After-School Principles developed in California, and we will be sure to send a link to those principles to everyone on the call, so you have access to that. Melissa, there was a question for you on what kind of questions are in the survey that you guys work with. I think Hoffman, the consultants you work with, what does that survey look like, and kind of what the content of that survey is?
Yes, the survey it's built up for all stakeholders. So we have questions that are directly pointed towards students. Do you like your after-school program? Do you feel like, another example would be, do you feel like coming to school now that you're part of the after-school program, so making those connection pieces? Do you feel like you get homework support? Do you have opportunities in the after-school program that you might not have when you're not in the after-school program that are just student-based? Then we also do the same thing for parents. So there's a different set of questions that parents then are surveyed on. Similar things, what's the relationship like between you and the site staff that is providing support to your son or daughter in the after-school program? Do you feel like your son or daughter is doing better in the instructional day because of the support they're receiving in the after-school program? And that just continues on to principals, to school staff, and then also to our line staff that are directly at the school site that are servicing the after-school programs, as well as our community-based organization. So again, it's all about what are you seeing and what are the impacts that this is or is not making on your son or daughter or your school. If you're the principal perspective, are you satisfied with your site leader? Do you feel that they're really supporting academic and enrichment pieces within the instructional day in the after-school program? So questions along those lines.
Great. That sounds comprehensive. Nora, there was a question for you on giving an example on the kind of the health and nutrition initiatives and or curriculum that you mentioned. Can you give us a little more?
Yeah, so what happened was we had sites that really wanted something for health and nutrition curriculum. We partnered with our public health and were able to write a small grant that helped them to be able to receive Harvest of the Month, which is a free state curriculum that highlights a specific fruit or vegetable for each month that is locally grown and also can be pulled into the site. So I partnered with Public Health to get the Harvest of the Month curriculum, and then we partnered with a local grower here in the San Joaquin County that was able to actually supply the sites with produce each month so that they could do tastings and do different activities with that specific produce. It was a win-win for everyone because the public health was trying to figure out how to get this curriculum out to more people, and our sites were really needing something that had more structure to it and not just kind of winging it and being able to provide some nutrition education for kids. The kids loved it. I have kids still that will ask, wait, what, we were having broccoli, and their enthusiasm over broccoli was interesting.
Well, it sounds like something that School Day is trying to push as well.
Yes. And so it was really neat because it seemed like this was a great place for them to really do some digging, and they actually made different types of recipes with the food after they tasted it and were able to kind of bring that and take it home with them to, here's what I learned and here's what I can do with it.
Great. And here's a question I got for Julia, but I think it's important for all speakers to talk to. So we'll start with Julia, and then Melissa and Nora, if you could speak to this, is what is the role of the district in targeting the students that are in the ACES or other after-school programs?
So I mentioned when I spoke earlier that we have a very structured program planning process in the springtime leading into the next program year. So what our after-school programs office does is that we create the program planning documents that will structure the conversations that happen between principals at the school site level. And one of the guidance documents that we provide as part of those program planning tools is district enrollment priorities for after school. So they range from, and it's a pretty broad list because we have 75 schools. I think we have to balance between how much central direction do we give, like enrollment priorities at a school site, and how much flexibility do we allow to occur at the individual school sites. So in our list of enrollment priorities, it varies from looking at students who are underperforming academically to students who are in need of additional social emotional learning supports, to prioritizing foster youth, students who are siblings of other students in the program. So we have about 7 or 8 criteria that we want school sites, when they engage, when they sit down with their partners and actually plan for the programming for the coming year, they could see the guidance that we give, and then at the school site level, they weight which criteria is most important for them based on what their school community needs. So that's how we centrally give some guidance around who should be enrolled in the program and still allow the site level flexibility to finalize their enrollment parameters.
Great. And Melissa, in South Bay, at what level are you guys targeting students? Is it at the site or the district?
We do all the program applications and enrollment process comes through the district office. So kind of like what Julia just mentioned in terms of what is the breakdown of a kid that would, be an ideal candidate for before and after school programs. We have something similar to that. Though with all of our programs being grant funded through the ACES, we don't have any fee-based programs. And within our district, there's a high need for after-school programming for mostly all of our students. Because with our enrollment, we have about 8,000 students total in our district, and we have about 2,000 of those kids that are enrolled in our programs, but our wait lists are still pretty hefty. We do some there are times whenever priority enrollment does occur because of our close connection with the school day. So there might be principals or teachers that are recommending certain students for certain reasons. But again, in our program application, it outlines, what are good kids that are I apologize for that, good candidates for someone that would really service in the after-school program and how it would support them. But it's really open enrollment to all students. It's built on a first-come, first-served basis. We have about 2 months during the end of the year where we allow students to enroll. And so it takes about 2 to 3 months to get everyone enrolled because we do all of that at the district level. And for our summer programming, that looks a little bit different in terms of our enrollment. The priority is given to students that participate in our before and after school programs. And then if we still have spaces available, then we open it up to all district kids that are interested in participating, and then they go through the application process the same as students that have been participating in the after school program during the instructional year.
Great. And Nora, do you have one district that comes to mind in thinking of how they may target or partner with the school day to enroll or incentivize students?
One of our districts is right now redoing their structure. They now have gone on to moving away from a first-come, first-served basis to a need basis. First, what they do is they first will talk to the school day teachers and see which students academically are in need in their site. At each teacher kind of looks at their 5 students that are in academic need, and they'll first send out applications to those students. And once those are received, then they'll open it up to everybody else if there's room in the program still, or if there's a sibling that needs to also be in the program, they'll look and see if they can accommodate those siblings as well. It's been really difficult because when they have the first come, first serve, not every student that really needed to be in the program got the opportunity, unfortunately, to be in one, and then they were on a wait list forever. So this has been a lot better. We've been able to serve students that really are the most critically needing the after-school program.
Thank you. So with that, I'm actually going to turn to closing. I wanted to first thank all of our panelists who are leading this work on a daily basis. We have more questions than we were able to get to, so for all those that sent questions that were not heard today, we will respond electronically. And folks were very interested in some of the survey tools and the other criteria that the speakers mentioned. So we will be sure to reach out to the speakers to get some materials and background information and send it out to all the participants on the call today. Second, I just wanted to thank everyone that joined us for this hour. We know how busy everyone is, and we really appreciate your time and interest in this topic. On the side, you'll see there's a quick takeaway on what was the most useful and relevant to your work. And so we can think about how we structure resources and further communications in the future. So if you can just take a minute or two to fill that out, it'd be greatly appreciated. As you'll see, there's my contact information. So if any questions arise following this call, please send them my way. And we also have a link to the download. And lastly, I just wanted to end that based on the Time Well Spent report, we're doing more research on how local districts are investing their LCFF dollars to support improved collaboration and alignment. So be on the lookout for some case studies and more information as it relates to LCAP and LCFF. And again, I will follow up with everyone's questions following this call. And I just wanted to thank you again for joining